Hi, good evening, everybody, and a big welcome to all of you in today's game-changing webinar series for SBL June 2024 attempt. This is Hassan Dosani, and I hope you guys are keeping well. Thank you so much for joining. So basically, it is a 2-day webinar, right? Specifically focused on June 2024 attempt, and I will be covering a lot of important things. So this webinar will be recorded and will be available on YouTube in 48 hours. Okay, so don't worry about it. And I will also share the handout of this after tonight's webinar. Okay, right. So let's start. So these are the items which we will be covering in 2 days, which is today and tomorrow. A lot of things to cover. So as you can see that I will talk about formats, I will cover professional skills, I will talk a lot about exam techniques, which is very important. Then we will have some quick discussions with high scorers of March and some global prize winners to understand, what they were doing. We will cover technical articles. We will draft one question practice so that you understand how we are supposed to draft our answers. And in the end, I will share the list of important topics as well as the study plan for the last 3 weeks. Right? So too much things to cover. So let's get started. Now, how to ask questions. This webinar is all about asking questions, right? So there are a couple of things you need to keep in mind. So the way you can ask question is you need to type your question in the chat box because speaking in the mic is not available right now because of the large group and global nature of the webinar. So the only way you can ask question is you will type your question in the chat box, and after each slide or couple of slides, I will pause and I will go through the chat to answer your questions. However, it's very, very important that your question should relate to the topic under discussion. So whatever the slides we are discussing, your question should pertain to that. I will not be able to answer any question which is not relating to the slide under discussion because that will disturb the tempo. However, towards the end, I will have a question and answer session in which you can ask anything. So I just request all of you that during the presentation, you must just ask questions which is relevant to the slide or topic under discussion, right? Well, a very quick introduction of myself. I am a chartered accountant and working as CFO in an insurance company based in Dubai for last 12, 13 years now. I've been teaching for almost 20 years plus, and I just teach one subject, which is SBL. I just specialize in that. And because I'm a CFO, I sit in the boardroom, and I'm able to share examples. What's more important is basically my WhatsApp number. So please save my WhatsApp number in case you don't have it, so that you can reach out to me if you have any questions later on, right? Also, I manage a global SBL group on WhatsApp. Thousands of students are members of the groups, and there's a lot of discussions and students guides each other and ask questions. So if you are not a member of the global group, then you can join the group. I will just share the link on the chat right now. Okay, so I've shared the link of the global WhatsApp group. in the chat box right now. So if you are not there, you can join it so that you are updated about the latest things happening in SBL. All right, a very quick one on the passing rates of SBL. So you can see that in the last 4 or 5 attempts, the SBL passing rate has been ranging between 50 and 52. Now that is a very good passing rate, right? And if you look at other strategic professional papers, SBL has the highest passing ratio. So that's good news. And especially after the pre-scene, the percentage has reached 52%, which is actually the highest in the history of SBL. So pre-scene, I think, is a good change in the syllabus. We have seen an improvement in the passing rates. Now, this slide is interesting. SBL, a lot of students feel that SBL is difficult, whereas I feel that SBL is not difficult, but it is different, right? It is different than all the other ACCA papers you have given so far. And because it's different, it's kind of new to you. That is perhaps why you feel it's a difficult paper. So I have gone through this slide many times, but I just want to focus on, this one. So more than 50% of your paper is common sense. Now, what is common sense? Common sense means that question does not pertain to any particular chapter or particular topic. You just have to read the exhibit, and from your logical mind, you need to give answers. A very simple example would be that the examiner can give you a proposal and he can ask you to evaluate the pros and cons of the proposal. So now you will need to apply your um, logical mind, read the exhibit and try to think of few pros and few cons, right? So half the paper is like that, where you don't really need theoretical knowledge, you just need some, common sense and some, attitude and the technique of handling those questions. Okay, so this is good news for some students, and this is bad news for some students, right? But this is the fact of life that SBL, half the paper is common sense. This slide is very important. So, all the high scorers of SBL, people who score 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95. So most of them I have spoken with, and they have all applied this technique. Especially there are 3 global prize winners in previous attempts. I have spoken to them personally, and all of them confirm that they have applied this technique, which helped them score more. So, what is this technique? So a normal SBL student, when he or she enters the examination hall, they think like they are a student and they are drafting the answer for the examiner. So this create a mental pressure on them. However, when you're handling SBL, I suggest that you should feel that you are a CFO of that company or you are the finance director of that company. Feel like a leader, right? SBL means strategic business leader, right? So when you enter the examination hall and when you are attempting your paper, your mental mindset should not be of a student. Your mental mindset should be of a CFO. Now, how does it help? So, number one, automatically your confidence will boost up because you will feel that you are a leader, you are a CFO. Number two, your brain will start processing information or thoughts like a CFO and not like a student or an accountant, right? And number three, when you feel like a CFO, it will help you answer the common sense questions because that requires common sense and logical thinking. So it's all about mindset. And when you are drafting or explaining your points, think that you are talking to the board of directors. I know most of you are not CFOs as of now, but there is no harm in imagining, right? You can imagine 10,000 things. So why can't you imagine yourself being a CFO? It will come from practice. And if you start practicing and from now, when you are drafting your answers, feel and think like a CFO, in 1 month time, your confidence and your skills will definitely improve. In fact, a couple of students, they mentioned to me that when they went to the examination center, they actually dressed like a CFO. So normally you go in casual clothes or jeans or t-shirts, but for SBL, those students, they actually formally dressed up in formal pants and shirts so that they actually look and feel like a CFO. They carried a bag and whatever. So these little things do matter. And all the high scorers, they have been doing it, right? So just some food for thought for you guys. It should help you. Now, this slide is very, very important. So have you heard of examiner's report? Yes, obviously, right? After each exam, the examiner analyzes what's happening and then they issue a examiner report, which obviously is very detailed. I don't expect students to go through each and every examiner's report, but I read them in detail. And what I have done is I have picked up the most common errors or mistakes made by students as in the eyes of the examiner, right? So these are a list of mistakes or issues which the examiner feels students are lacking, right? So I want to go through this list so that when you are preparing for your SBL, you make sure that you do not make these mistakes. You should know these right from the start, right? So the first reason is answers are not linked with exhibits. This is the examiner's concern number one. Examiner answers are not linked with exhibit. So you see, SBL is all about using information from the exhibits. So 3 or 4 exhibits will be given to you, and your answer needs to be extracted and drafted from those exhibits. You cannot give general answers, right? So how can we avoid this mistake? My simple technique is always start your paragraph with a statement of fact from the exhibit. Every point should start with a statement of fact, which you can copy paste from the exhibit, and then you can elaborate on it, right? The other one, the point one and point two are quite similar. Then overspending time on one particular question, normally question number one. This is another problem. I call this time trap. So your paper deliberately include time trap questions. There are 1 or 2 deliberate questions which will throw off your time management. And most students, they fall in this trap and they overspend the time in one particular question, which automatically means that they are hijacking the time of the other questions. And either they are not able to complete the paper, they miss out 10 marks, 15 marks in the end because of bad time management, or the quality of the answer towards the last 1 hour is really pathetic, right? So time management is a very important thing for SBL. And then poor technical knowledge or insufficient number of points. This one is important. Students not doing practice or mocks. Okay, this is an examiner always sees and says there that, when he looks at the answers, it is evident that students have not done enough practice or mocks. And then weak typing and formatting skills. They don't know what the formats are. They don't use professional language and all those things, right? So please, guys, the whole purpose of sharing this list of common mistakes as per the examiner report is that you are aware of them, you focus on them, you try to avoid them or work on them. Any questions so far? Samra is asking, if the examiner is saying that you are an external consultant, then should you will think like a CFO at that time? Yes, why not? The whole objective is that you feel like you are a senior and a mature person. At that time, you might think like a consultant as well. Just don't think like a student. Think like a leader. That's the whole objective, right? Saad, please don't ask questions which are not relevant to the slide. I will take these questions towards the end. How we will get to know about the time trap questions? Okay, I will cover that in my future slides. Yeah, I will cover that. It will be covered. Right. So just a quick one that if you are a resit student, if you have given SBL for the previously and you are not able to clear, so if you scored less than 45 marks, it shows that you have weak technical knowledge, plus you have not practiced enough, right? And those who obtained more than 45, it shows that you had good technical or theoretical knowledge, but you did not practice sufficiently. However, in this attempt, I noticed two things. I noticed that this attempt, the March attempt, the common sense questions was a lot. So normally 50% of the paper is common sense, normally, but in March attempt, the common sense question was much more than 50%. So all those students who were weak in common sense questions, they struggled, right? And then I also noticed that those students who gave two papers together, like SBL plus any other paper like AAA or SBR or whatever, those students who gave two papers, they also struggled, right? So these are the two things you need to focus on, that for June, you must really focus on learning how to draft common sense questions, and it can only and only come through practice, solving more and more common sense questions. And please, if possible, just give SBL as a standalone paper. I'm just going through the chat. Ash, uh, Ash is asking, during exam, if we forget models, how do we get through the exam? Ash, SBL is not about models. Please clear your thoughts, okay? SBL is not about models. SBL is about giving logical answers from the exhibit. Now, you can use models to help you or assist you framing your answers nicely. Even if you don't use any model, but your answer is logical and linked with the scenario, you will get marks. So please don't get stressed out about models. In fact, I always say models should be less priority. Only few basic models you should be focusing on, like Pestle and Porter 5 and few more. But don't worry about models. This paper is not about models. It's about giving logical answers from the exhibit, and models just help you give a better answer. You can also give logical answers without using any models. Then also you will get marks. Bouncer question, I will cover that. Is there a way to common sense questions? Yeah, so common sense skills can only and only improve through practice. In the last 3 or 4 attempts, the ratio of common sense question has significantly gone up. So if you do all the last 4 or 5 attempt papers, you draft them, you solve them, automatically you will get the hang of how to handle common sense questions. Roa, please ask questions which are relevant to the slide. I will take such questions later on. All right, let me move on, because now generalized questions or, personalized questions are being asked. Now, the pre-scene format. This was introduced in September, so this will be the 4th attempt of pre-scene. And in my opinion, this has really simplified SBL. It's a very good change from a student point of view, that it has really simplified SBL for students. And you can see that the passing ratio is 52%, which is the highest in the history of SBL, thanks to pre-scene, right? So so there is no change in the syllabus, all right? Only the paper pattern was changed. And the pre-scene material will be published 2 weeks before the exam. And then some additional exhibits and tasks will be given on the exam day. There will be only 3 tasks and 3 or 4 exhibits. Paper duration is now 3 hours and 15 minutes. All right. So now should we look at the CBE platform, or should we look at the SBL paper, how it looks, especially those students who are doing SBL for the first time? Or have you seen it already? I think let's take a quick look so that we are all on the same page. So you will need to log into the CBE platform. I have already logged in, right? So when you log into the CBE platform, you go to Strategic Business Leader, ACCA official resources. Let me open the specimen exam number 1. I will assign it. All right. And then where is the SBL specimen? SBL September, December. Okay, I'll just open any paper. Let's start. Let me start with this one. I'm just opening one random paper. All right. So this is basically Corjet, which is September 2023, right? So when you open this platform, this is the landing page. So your Role will be given here on the landing page. The date will be mentioned here on the landing page. So for example, in this case study, you are a senior business analyst. This is your role, right? And it is currently September X3. So this is the date we will be using in various reports and formats. Then on the left side, in this scenario, 4 exhibits have been given to you. Also, you see the pre-seen material, which was published 2 weeks before this exam, is also available, right? And then there is task number 1. So here is task number 1. The background, the technical requirement, and the professional skills. Task 1A followed by task 1B, right? Where is task number 2? Why there is just one task? So for task number 2, you need to scroll down and then press next. So you have to go to the next page. All right, remember this. So when you go to the next page, you will see task number 2, 2A followed by 2B. And then to go to task number 3, again, you need to scroll down both ends and then press next. And you will see task number 3. So in total, there are 3 tasks. All right, in the new format, there are total 3 tasks, right? And each task has its own word processor where you will, draft your answers and close it. All right. So there are 4 exhibits and 3 tasks. So I think, each exhibit for each task, or maybe 2 exhibit for 1 task. Right. So the good thing is you can open the exhibit, right? You can open the exhibit. You can move it to one side and you can open the word processor. You can reduce the window and move it to one side, and then you can easily copy paste. For example, if I want to copy paste this sentence, you just copy Control C and you then Control V, right? And then if I want to copy this sentence, I just copy here, paste it here, and then I will elaborate on it. So, you can, or you can also, open up the task so that you can see them, what's happening. You can copy some task, right? So multi windows can be opened. Any questions on the CBE platform? Guys, I will answer these questions later on. How much is pre-seen? Okay, all right. Let me answer this now. That the pre-seen material, in my experience, based on last 4 attempts, 90% of the information is to be used, is provided in the exhibits. 90%. And pre-seen is used only 10 to 15%, I would say. So 85 to 9. So your answer should be 85% based on the exhibit and 15% based on pre-seen. For example, if there is no exhibit provided for a certain requirement, then you can use information from the pre-seen, right? Understood? Okay. Right. So let me go back to the slide. So the pre-seen material for June will be published around 20th of May. Save this date. 20th of May, the pre-seen material for June will be published. That is 2 weeks before your exam. You will receive an email notification from ACCA once it's published, and then you can log into your My ACCA portal and you can download the whole PDF format from there. So normally the pre-seen material is like 10 or 11 pages. It has got industry information, it's got company information, challenges, issues, risks, financials, a lot of information is there. So for example, in March, the pre-scene was about a football team, right? It was a football league, so it was about a football team. Very interesting sector, right? So we don't know what will be the industry for June, but we will know 2 weeks before the exam. So we have to familiarize ourselves with the pre-scene and the scenario so that when we are drafting, our answers are linked or relevant to the scenario, right? Right. So, just a small thing that I will also be organizing a workshop on pre-scene material, as I have been doing in the previous batches as well, that I will conduct a full 2 day, a 2 day workshop just to, discuss the pre-scene material. It will be held on 28th and 29th May, 7 to 11 p.m. Pakistan time, or 6 to 11, 10 p.m. UAE time, right? In which we will go through the pre-scene and we will try and uh, predict. I don't want to use the word predict, but try to apply all the models, all the questions which comes to our mind, so that we are not caught by surprise in the real exam. Okay. And after the pre-scene discussion, there will be a grand revision. So all this package is basically, if you want without the grand revision, then this is the price. And if you want pre-scene plus grand revision, then this is the price. Only $10 difference between the two. But this is a very later stage, right? It's towards the end of May. Komal is asking, do we need to know more about the industry in the pre-scene? Not at all. We are not expected to do any research, additional research about the industry, because we are not allowed to quote real life examples in the exam. We are just supposed to restrict ourselves with the exhibit. So those of my students who are already enrolled in my June batches, this one is all included free of cost for you because you've already paid for it. Only those students who are not my students and they just want to join for the pre-scene, they can directly join this workshop. Okay. All right, let's move to some important stuff. Are you guys ready for question solving? No, not at all. So first of all, we need to familiarize ourselves with the various formats. Okay. There are so many formats involved in SBL, and the examiner will tell you which kind of format he wants. So you have to be very, very familiar, very, very hands-on, and very, very quick with the formats, because we cannot waste precious limited time on making formats. So not only you need to be hands-on, you need to be very quick. So, and it can only come through practice. The more reports you will make during practice, automatically your speed will pick up, right? So the most common format is basically a report or a briefing paper or a briefing note or a memo. 70% of the time, the examiner asks for this one. Whatever is the format, on the top, we will give the heading report. Or if the examiner says prepare a briefing paper, so we will give the heading briefing paper, right? Then there will be a to. This addressee will be mentioned in the task to whom we are supposed to write to. From, in which year you will mention your role. And do you know where the role is? Yes, I just showed you the role. It's on the landing page, right? When you will open the CBE paper on the exam day, your role will be mentioned on the CBE platform here. You see, you are a senior business analyst. So in this scenario, our role was senior business analyst, right? Now, then you have to mention the subject and the date. For example, in this case study, the date has been given as September 20x3. So you will just mention the date here, September 20x3. Then you will give a heading introduction, and then you will give an opening sentence that this report, and then you can copy from the requirement, evaluates the proposal or identifies the risk or discuss the benefits of big data, whatever is the requirement, you will give an opening sentence. Then your headings will come. For example, if you're doing pestle, then you will give the heading political, economy, social, technological, ecological, and legal. All right. And then underneath those subheadings, you will draft your answer. And then in the end, you will give a closure. Very straightforward format. To, from, subject, date, introduction, closure. Okay, to, from, subject, date, intro, and closure. And in this portion, basically, you will actually draft your answer. The rest is all format. Okay. A couple of things. So, for example, conclusion or recommendation not required unless specifically asked in the question. So you're not supposed to give conclusion or recommendation unless the question specifically asks. All right. If the question says, evaluate the proposal and give your recommendation, then obviously, yes, we have to give recommendation. But if the question says, evaluate the proposal, then you just evaluate. No need to give any conclusions or recommendations. Is that clear? All right. Any questions? Your role will always be mentioned, okay? Your role will always be mentioned in the pre-scene format. If you are reporting to finance director and he wants my assistance for board presentation, then what will be into finance director? So whoever is asking you, you will mention that person's name in um the addressee. Yes, Dipti, you can. Varsha, forget about it. There is no closure paragraph. This best regard and your role is the closure. That's it. Yes, Dipti. Abdullah, I will cover this in later slides. All right. The next format is called section of a report. Sometimes the examiner has said, draft a section of a report. What is a section of a report? It is not a full report. It is just a portion of a report. And it's very simple format. It's you give the heading section of a report. And then you will skip the to and from and dates. You will just write the subject, give the introductory para, and just give the closure. That's it. All right. Very similar to report, but certain elements you can skip because this is just a section of a report. Yes, I will share this handout tonight, so don't worry. Then sometimes the examiner has said draft an email. So again, very similar format. On the top, you will give the heading email to from subject date and then opening sentence. This email evaluates the proposal, blah, 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 a closure, and here will be the body of your answer, right? Now, this one is slightly tricky. Presentation slides. Many times the examiner wants you to prepare a presentation slide, right? And if you look at the CBE platform, let me open. So under response options, you will see a word processor, a spreadsheet, and slides. So for your normal answer, like reports and all those things, we will always use word processor. We will never use spreadsheet for SBL. So forget about spreadsheet. But if the question says prepare presentation slides, then you have to use this option. Okay, you have to click here. So once you open this, you will see two things. You will see slide number 1, which is this box. And followed by slide number 1, you will see slide number 1, speaker notes. Okay, so there are two slide number 1 itself, and then the speaker notes for slide number 1. And then there is slide number 2, followed by speaker notes for slide number 2. Is this clear? So I will just explain what is speaker notes. So when we are supposed to prepare a presentation slide, let's say the question says, prepare a presentation slide to discuss the HR issues which the company is facing, right? I repeat the question. The question says, prepare a presentation slide to discuss the human resource issues which the company is facing. So on the slide, you will give the heading HR issues and just mention the issues here as bullet points. For example, the company is facing high turnover, low staff morale, salary is not aligned with the market. So these are the bullet points. And then where is the discussion on these? The discussion on these bullet points is done under supporting notes or speaker notes. Is this clear? So the slide will only have bullets and the explanation will be given here under speaker notes. So if there are 3 bullets here, I expect to see 3 small paragraphs here, each paragraph explaining 1 bullet. Is this clear, guys? Any questions on presentation slides? Good. Yes, presentation slide is a common requirement. Do you use headings for speaker notes? Up to you. It's not mandatory. Either you can give subheadings or you can just directly give the paragraphs. The notes are on a separate slide. Now, I just showed you guys. What's wrong with you? When you open the slide, there is slide number 1. Here, only the bullets will come, and then slide number 1, speaker notes. Here, the explanation will come. So you're just splitting headings on one slide and notes on other slide, which is called speaker notes. All right. Yes, Prane, absolutely yes. Marks will be awarded for both the slide and the speaker notes, because both combined together marks will be assigned, right? Examiner will need to read the speaker notes to understand what you are saying. So marks is for slide plus the speaker notes. Then there's a format called letter. This is very rarely examined. I think in last 4 or 5 attempts, this has been tested only once, that you are expected to draft a letter. You just give the heading letter on the top, write the date, the addressee, the subject, opening address, opening sentence, and closure. All right, so I will share this format and you can memorize it. Then there's a press release or a website release. Also, this is tested very, very rarely, very, very occasionally. This has been tested, I think, only once in last 4 or 5 attempts, but you must be familiar. You should be familiar with the format. So in case it's a press release is required, you will give the heading, the subject, name of chairman or CEO, name of company and date. And then this will be your opening sentence and this will be your closure, right? You will need to memorize this format as well. In the letter, the whom is mentioned below. That's the format. Now, business case and the next topic, which is project initiation document. Both these are very specialized formats for project management. So this can only be tested if there's a question on project management. They might ask you to prepare a business case. In that case, there are three broad headings: current situation, evaluation of options, and the selected option. All right, so you need to go through project management chapter to be familiar with this. And sometimes there's a question on project initiation document. Again, it's a topic related to project management. So these are the things which are included in a project management. You need to memorize these things. Okay. Yes, Zenith is asking a very interesting question. Zenith is asking, can we, the business case and PID can be used interchangeably? Yes, in reality, these words are used interchangeably, but theoretically speaking, a business case has a different format and a PID has a different format. Now, this one is important. Every attempt, in every attempt, there is a question on this. Either they would ask you to identify weaknesses and give recommendation. That's a very standard question. 90% of the time it is there. So in case the question says identify the weakness and give recommendations, I would prefer that you use a tabular format. Okay, on one side you will mention weakness and on the right side you will give the recommendation. How would you know whether a table is required? You will read the requirement and you will understand. When the question says identify weakness and give recommendation, then you can easily use a tabular format. And similarly, for risk management as well, sometime the examiner has said identify risks and give recommendations. So the word and give recommendations. So again, for the risk, you can use the same tabular format. It will make your life easy, and it will speed up things, more structured. Even if you are drafting a report, even the format is a report, you can insert a table inside the report, not a problem. All right. All right, so I'm done with the format. So it's report, briefing paper, briefing notes, memo, section of a report, letter, press release, presentation slides, PID, business case, and weakness recommendation or risk recommendation questions. You have to be very, very hands-on with all these formats. The format carries professional marks. The main thing is you should not spend a lot of time in making the format, because if you spend a lot of time in making the format, then less time will be left for drafting. So format you should be able to make in 1 minute, very, very fast, and it can only come through practice. If you draft at least 5 reports, your speed will be like a bullet. No Ash, the table will be used in the Word document. I said don't use Excel, right? So it's very simple. You open up the Word document, right? And here you see the table format. You just click here, table. I want 2 rows and 2 columns and many rows. Here I will say weakness. Here I will say recommendation. That's it. And then you start drafting. Understood? It's very simple. All right, let's move on. Now, the next important thing is professional skills. So can anybody tell me, do you know how much professional skills is there marks? How much professional skills marks are there in SBL? 20 marks, yes. 20 out of 100, right? So can I say 20% of your paper is professional skills, right? That's crazy. 1/5 of your paper is professional skills. So it's very, very important that you master professional skills. You should aim to score at least 14 marks, 15 marks out of 20. It's not practically possible to score 20 out of 20 because SBL is a subjective paper, but at least we try to score maximum possible. Even if we score like 14 or 15 out of 20, you will get a really good head start, right? So really, guys, you need to focus on professional skills marks if you want to pass SBL. Now, the good news is that the professional skills in SBL is pretty easy. It's not complicated. So do you know how many professional skills are there in SBL? Let's see. How many professional skills? Not, no, five, not 4. There are 5 professional skills which can be tested in your paper. It's like 4 marks each. right? So it is evaluation skill, analysis skill, communication skill, commercial acumen skill, skepticism skill. There are 5 skills, and each skill is properly defined by the examiner. So it's pretty easy to understand that. So let us start with the first skill. The first skill is called evaluation skill. I will not go into theoretical definition or explanations. I will just tell you from an exam point of view what you need to do to score maximum marks for evaluation. So evaluation skill is very simple. Evaluation skill simply means that you include both advantages and disadvantages in your answer. That you discuss both advantages and disadvantages when you are drafting. You include both pros and cons. Pros means positive points, cons means negative points or disadvantages or risks, right? So whenever the question says demonstrate evaluation skill, just make sure that you include both plus points, positive points, advantages, as well as negative points, cons, disadvantages. Is that clear? Yes or no? Everybody, guys, is that clear? Yes or no? Okay. We are expected to include both pros and cons. Understood? Now, another question. Do you think the pros and cons are to be in equal quantity? For example, if you're supposed to give 8 points, so are we supposed to write 4 positive points and 4 negative points? Right, exactly. There is no concept of equal. This is a real life paper. It's a practical business study paper. So there is no kiddish baby concept of having equal points. Half pros, half cons. No. It all depends on the content. It all depends on the information available in the exhibit. If the exhibit has more advantages and less disadvantages, what can I do? I will follow the same count. If the exhibit has more disadvantages and less advantages, how can I make it equal? I will follow the same count, right? Now, the third thing I want to clarify here is sometimes the examiner has used the word critically evaluate. So the word critically means to criticize. And criticize means to identify mistakes, right? So when the question says critically evaluate, then in that case, we will make sure that we will focus more on the cons, right? Good. Very simple. Number one rule. Evaluation skill means we include both positive points and negative points in our answer. Second rule is the positive points and negative points do not have to be in equal quantity. It all depends on the information available on the exhibit. And number third rule is when the question specifically says critically evaluate, in that case, we will focus more in discussing negative points, kind of ignore the positive points. Good. Guys, Abdullah Tariq, please refrain. Fadil, can you please turn off your camera? No cameras allowed. Thank you. The second professional skill is analysis skill. Again, this is very, very simple. Analysis skills simply means that you investigate and identify the root cause of the problem or the reasons of variances. You just investigate the situation and try to find out the reason, right? Komal, no. That's skepticism is different. Is that clear? Analysis simply means that you are supposed to read the exhibit and investigate the issue and try to identify what is the reason, why is it happening. For example, let me give a very simple example. Supposing company's revenue has fallen. Okay, company's sales or top line or revenue has fallen by 20% this year. What can be the issue? What can be the possible reasons? Can you think of two reasons? Can you analyze why the revenue has fallen? So what can be the reason why our revenue is falling? Competitors, poor marketing, increase in prices. Yeah, I'm just reading your thoughts. So this is analysis skills. This is analysis. So if you're trying to identify the reason, that's analysis. So nothing extra needs to be done. Understood? Nothing extra needs to be done. You're just expected to identify the reasons or the root cause. Yes, Zaryab, excellent. Zaryab is saying, sir, won't most of the professional marks be achieved just by answering the question? Absolutely, yes. If you just focus on answering the question, automatically your professional skills is nothing separate. You don't have to draft a separate paragraph. It's all embed in your main answer, right? But you have to make sure that you fulfill these things. For example, under evaluation, you have to make sure that there are pros and cons. In analysis, make sure that you have identified the reasons, the root cause from the exhibit. That's it. All done. Nothing extra needs to be done. Okay? Let's move on. Roman is asking, what if there is no information given in the exhibits? That's not possible, Roman. Information will be there either in the exhibit or in the pre-scene. Remember? So you have to identify the reason. You just can't say there is no reason mentioned. Maybe you were not able to identify it. Tejas, write statistics if available, but more important is the reason. The reason. Yes, Rolina, absolutely correct. All right. Let's move to the third one, communication skill. Again, very simple. Nothing extra needs to be done. There are two things which you need to keep in mind. Number one, the format should be proper. So all the formats throughout the paper, report, briefing paper, presentation slide, email, whatever formats are required throughout the paper, you have to draw or prepare a proper format. That's part of communication skill. Secondly, you need to know your role. You need to know your role, whether you are an insider or an outsider. For example, if you are a consultant, so you are an outsider, right? Because consultants are outsiders. But if you are a finance manager or senior business analyst, then you are an insider. So your drafting, your tone of drafting should be according to your role. Okay? When you are outsider, you will use words like you. And when you are insider, you can use words like us or we. Okay? And thirdly, obviously, the language, the way you are drafting, should be at a bare minimum, should be a professional way of explaining your point. All right, so communication skill is the format, your role, whether you are insider or outsider, and the tone of your drafting. The fourth one is commercial acumen. Many students, they get confused on this and they feel that they don't know what is commercial acumen, but that's not the case. All of you know what commercial acumen is. For example, commercial acumen simply means that you know little bit about business. I repeat, commercial acumen simply means that you know little bit about the entire business. For example, do you know what is the reason why the revenue fell? Just a couple of minutes back, I asked this question. What is the possible reasons why revenue has fallen? And you gave some answers like competitors, high selling price, less demand, recession. So this is business knowledge. This is not debit, credit, or accounting, right? This is business common sense. That's commercial acumen. Now, let me give another example for commercial acumen. What can you give me examples of some e-marketing tools? How can we do e-marketing? What are the common platforms for e-marketing? Let's see. Very good. Social media, Facebook, websites, YouTube, email, search engine optimization, influence. Khalas, this is commercial acumen. You know a little bit about marketing, right? Can you tell me how we can make sure that our data is secured? How can we make sure that all the confidential data is secured? How can we make our systems, secure? You see, I'm getting amazing answers. Password and I don't know, firewalls and audit trails and OT. Come on, excellent guys. You know a little bit about IT. All right, one last question. How can we motivate our employees? If my employees are demotivated, how can I motivate them? How can I increase their productivity and efficiencies? Very good. Give them incentive, give them training, benefits, package, counseling, rewards, team building. Excellent, guys. You know a little bit of human resource. That's it. So all of you are not as dumb as you think you are. All of you know basics about how a business works, right? So that's commercial acumen. So you don't have to do anything extra here. You just answer the requirement, and automatically, if you are using your common sense and thinking of reasons, picking the reasons from the exhibit, commercial acumen, you will automatically score. All right, understood? commercial acumen, nothing extra needs to be done. Just think like a business person, just think like a business leader. Look at the big picture, and that's it. The last one is skepticism. This one is, I think, a little bit different and little bit difficult than the other four. So the other four, nothing extra needs to be done. Those are pretty basic. But in skepticism, you have to actually change the way of your drafting, right? So first, let me explain what is skepticism. So do you know what is skepticism? Those of you who have given audit might know skepticism. Questioning mind. Now, what is the meaning of questioning mind? What is the meaning of questioning mind? Questioning mind means that you don't trust everything on face value. You have to question. You have to ask questions to make sure that you understand. You have to make sure that the other person has done their work properly. You have to challenge. You have to, sometimes you might disagree with some wrong statements made by others, right? Noman, please. So, for example, okay, let me give you a real-time example. My marketing director, so I'm the finance CFO, I'm the head of finance, and my counterpart, who is the chief marketing officer or marketing director, he came. All right, let me do the other way around. So you guys are the CFO. Okay. Start feeling like a CFO. You guys are CFO. You guys approve all budgets, right? You are the CFO. I'm the marketing director. I come to you and I ask you, Mr. CFO, can you approve $1 million? I want to run, for marketing. What will you ask me? Can you approve $1 million for marketing? You will ask, sure, but can you tell me why? Why do I need it? No, Michelle, that's rude. You have to maintain the professional. He's your colleague, right? You will say, yeah, sure, but may I know why do you need it? So you will ask me why. So I will say, oh, of course, I want to, I will spend it on e-marketing. That's my reply. I will say, I want to do e-marketing. Now, what will you ask me? What for? Are you crazy? So you will ask, oh, sure, that's good. But then what do you think would be the benefit of e-marketing? I mean, will the revenues go up? This is how you will ask, right? All right, but do you think the revenues will go up? I will say, sure, the revenues will go up. Our sales will go up. What you will ask then? I will say, of course, the revenue will go up. Then what you will ask? Very good. You will say, nice. How much do you think the revenues will go up? Right? So I will say, yeah, if you give me 1 million, I can get you extra revenue of 5 million. Now ask me, so I'm marketing. I'm saying, okay, you approve me 1 million marketing cost, and I will get you incremental revenue of 5 million. Very good. So the next question is, what is the basis of 5 million? How can you be so sure? Can you let me have details of how you will be able to achieve 5 million. Give me some projections. Give me some assumptions. You see? So this is how this is skepticism. I will not trust him on his face value, right? So skepticism means that you demonstrate a questioning mind, not in a negative tone. You don't have to be rough. You have to be professional, but you have to ask the right question till you are convinced. Understood? Is understood that you have to ask certain right questions in the right tone to demonstrate skepticism skill. Another example, let me give you another example. I'm the marketing director and you are the CFO. And I'm saying that there is no use of e-marketing because none of our customers use e-marketing. They are not present on social media. How would you challenge that? Do you agree or disagree? Right. So skepticism, you also have to disagree with someone if he is claiming some wrong statement. You might say, I'm sorry, but I disagree. In today's day and time, almost everybody is using e-marketing. They have social media, they have WhatsApp, a mobile phone, apps, right? And uh, if potential customers will be using. Very simple logic, right? Basics. Understood? So there are two ways of demonstrating skepticism skill. Number one, you can ask couple of questions when you are drafting your answer. Make sure there is a question mark somewhere in your drafting. And the second way to demonstrate skepticism is you might disagree with some stupid comment. You would say, I'm sorry, but I disagree with your comment because of this reason. All right, done? Okay, let's move on. The last thing I want to touch upon today is exam techniques. So we already spoke about formats. We already spoke about professional skills. The last one is about exam techniques and perhaps the most important. So the first slide is about time management, how we allocate the time. So the paper is 3 hours and 15 minutes. We all know that, right? So the paper is 3 hours and 15 minutes. So what I suggest is that reading and planning time should be 15 minutes and remaining time should be for drafting. In my experience of the last 4 pre-seen papers, you need maximum 10 minutes to quickly go through the exhibits and go through the requirements, but let's say 15 minutes. So in the first 15 minutes, guys, can you please stop commenting? I want you to focus here and not ask irrelevant questions and distract other students. So in the first 15 minutes, what are you supposed to do? Copy paste all tasks on the scratch pad. After copy pasting, read all tasks and identify the topics or the questions. Then take a quick look at each exhibit and note exhibit number on the scratch pad. I don't want you to read the exhibit in detail. Just take a quick look to see that this exhibit pertains to which requirement, and then decide the sequence of your answer, which means easier question first. So this is the planning I want you to do in the first 15 minutes, right? So let me start again. The first thing is all tasks in the scratch pad. So I'll show you why I'm saying it. So when you will open the paper, when you open the paper, only one task is available, right? The other task is on the next page, and the another task is on the another page. For me, I think it's easier if I know all the tasks in one page, right? So because it's not possible to remember all the tasks. So because the tasks are scattered, I think it's better if we copy paste all the tasks on one page so that we have a full view and we can plan. So it's very simple. You see the button scratch pad? Just open this. Okay. I'll take it on one side. I will open task number 1, only the technical requirement. Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. Done. I will go to the next task. This will maximum take 1 minute. Control C. Where is the scratch pad? Here. And part B. All right. I will go to the third task. What I have done is now I have bought all the tasks on one sheet, scratch pad. So now I know prepare briefing note outlines the problems in the culture. So I know that this one is about outline the problems in the culture. Second one is explain the key roles of NEDs. Assess the importance of having a diversified board. So I know the topics now. I'm just highlighting the topics: problems in culture, NEDs, diversified board. Assess the suitability of the proposal to invest in flight simulation technology, principal risks, and consequences of each risk. Assess the performance in the latest financial year. Content to be reported to key stakeholders. Environmental and sustainability audit report. So now I know in one look, these are the topics which I need to talk about: culture, role of NED, importance of diversified board, something to do with AI flight simulation technology. I need to talk about principal risk, latest financial performance year, and it's something about environmental and sustainability report. So, and from here, you just open the exhibit. You just take a quick look at it. So I think that it talks about the board, the NEDs. So I think part culture, this one is question number 1 is exhibit 1. It talks about culture, NEDs. Online investment proposal. This one talks about artificial intelligence simulation system. So I know this one is exhibit 2, right? Principal risk is exhibit 3. You see, I'm just cross-referencing. Performance report, so I'm pretty sure this one is this one. Done. So I know which exhibit is this. This is all about, this all needs to be done in the 10-15 minutes. And then which one should I start with? You just decide which question looks most easy to you. So I can start with exhibit this one. I can start with principal risk because normally these are straightforward topics. I can start with this one. I don't know, it's all up to you. But the advantages of bringing all tasks on one page, which is scratch pad, okay, is that you will see all the requirements in one go and you'll be able to link which exhibit relates to which tasks. Do you understand this technique? I did not read the exhibit. Did you noted that? I just went through the exhibit, or even from the name, I was able to judge. So in the first 15 minutes, you're not going to read the exhibits. You just need to allocate this exhibit to which task. That's it. From the name, if you can guess, that's it. If you can't, then you open the exhibit and take a quick look. Yes, Sukana, that's fine. You will be able to figure that out. All right. So this is all we did. After this, you will draft, and your drafting will be 1.8 minutes per total marks. So if it's a 10 marks question, how much time is there for drafting? 18 minutes. So in this 18 minutes, so when we will read the exhibit? Tell me when we will read the exhibit line by line. Yes, we will read the exhibit in this 18-minute and then we have to draft it. So can you imagine how tight it is? So within this allowed 18 minutes, you have to first read the exhibit and then you have to think, identify points and draft. So you need to demonstrate a little bit of speed, right? And the speed can only come through more and more practice. SBL is all about practice. Okay. And we will write short points. We will not go into lengthy explanations, short points, so that we are able to do it in 18 minutes. Okay. Now this one is very important. Point number 5. Stop drafting and move to the next question as soon as the allowed time is up. So let's say we have allocated 18 minutes, right? And the 18 minutes are up. What do you do now? If the 18 minutes is up, what we will do? Yes, you will need to just complete that one paragraph which you are drafting, leave some space and move to the next question. Do not overspend the time, because then you will fall in a time trap and it will affect your hijack. Now I know for a fact that a lot of students they are not able to do it. They don't have the guts to leave it and move to the next question. But what you need to realize is if you don't do it, you will miss 15 marks question in the end, right? That doesn't bother you. So you have two choices. If you spend more time in one question, then you, in the end, you will miss 15 marks because of bad time management. Is that acceptable? Or other option is you attempt all the questions, but you might miss out the last point. So guys, please follow this, all right? The second important thing is linking with the exhibit. So all your answers have to be linked with the exhibit, right? So how do we link it? It's very simple. Every point should start with a statement of fact, with a statement or a sentence which you copy paste from the exhibit and then you elaborate on it. That should be the drafting style throughout. Each paragraph, each point should always start with a statement of fact, which you will pick up from the exhibit, and then you can elaborate on it. Okay. 90 or let's say 85% of the information is in the exhibit, but from the pre-scene, you can pick up some information if required. Your first priority should be the exhibit. If you're able to cover all the required points through the exhibit, no need for pre-scene. But if you are not able to find sufficient points from the exhibit, then you can refer to pre-scene to add or fill more points. Clear? All right. Now, from the pre-scene, this one is very important. In all the pre-scenes I have seen to date, organizations' goals, objectives, and values are always given. That these are the goals and objectives and values of the organization. Also, financial information and statistics are given. When you are drafting your answer, these two you should always try to use in your answer. You have to memorize what are the goals, objective, and values of the organization. You have to memorize what are the financial and non-financial statistics available. And wherever you get a chance when you're drafting, you must try and include this from the pre-scene. For example, one of the values of the company is to have high motivated and satisfied customers. Okay, one of the value is having satisfied customers. We always try to satisfy our customer, right? And then when you come to the exhibit, there you see that customer complaints have significantly increased. So there you can always refer to this value and you say that customer complaints have gone up and this is against the company's value of satisfied customers. See, always try to link the values to your answer. Is this clear? It's not difficult. When we will do practice, you will understand. The third thing is about a number of points. So how do we decide how many points are we supposed to write? So it's very simple rule of thumb. So usually one well-drafted point carries 2 marks. What did I say? One well-drafted point carries 2 marks. So can you tell me if the question is 10 marks, how many points are required? If the question carries 10 marks, how many points are required? 5. Not 5 to 6, 5. Guys, don't say 5 to 6, 5. 10 divided by 2 is exactly 5. Okay? Don't try to give extra over points, otherwise you will not be able to finish in 18 minutes. 5. If the question carries 20 marks, how many points? 10 points. 20 divided by 2. Alas. Now a difficult question. If the question carries 15 marks, so 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, right? So 7 to 8. You can't give 7.5. So minimum 7, maximum 8. 7 to 8. Understood, guys? This is very important. Total marks divided by 2. Let me see. Let's go to this question. Task number 3. Let's see this. So this says prepare a report which assess the performance of Courgette in the latest financial year. Blah, blah, blah. 16 marks. And then how much is professional? 4 marks. So what is total marks? 20. So how many points should you write for part 3A? 16 plus 4, 20. 20 divided by 2, 10 points. You agree? 10 points? 10 points, Baba. 16 plus 4, 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10 points. Why the fuck your guys are saying 8? Are you not listening to me? 16 plus 4 professional. So total marks divided by 2. Total marks divided by 2. That's the formula. All right. So 16 plus 4 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Look at the next one. Blah, 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 blah. It is just 8 marks. There is no professional marks. So 8 divided by 2 is 4 points. Clear? Now, if the question says identify the weakness and give recommendation. Identify the weakness and give recommendation. Or the question says identify the risks and give recommendation. So will we make a tabular format? Will we make a tabular format? Yes or no? So in this, we will divide by 4 instead of 2. Why? Because 2 marks for weakness and 2 marks for the recommendation, total 4 marks. In order to decide the number of weaknesses we have to identify, we will divide by 4 because 2 marks for weakness and 2 marks for recommendation. So 2 plus 2 is 4. So we will divide by 4. So let's see an example. I think in this question, in this scenario, question number 2 was like that. Yeah. 2B. Draft an email, blah, 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 dynamic nature of principal risks and assess the potential consequence of each of these risks. Oh, this is a different kind of a question. Anyways, let's assume that it says give recommendations, just for argument's sake. So we have to identify the risks and give recommendations. For example, this one doesn't want recommendations, but let's say 10 plus 6, 16 plus 4 professional marks, 20. 20 divide by 4. I have to identify 5 risks and its consequences. Okay? 20 divided by 4 is 5, because you also have to include professional marks. All right. Is this clear, guys? Now, format of your answer. So first of all, we will always use a paragraph style of drafting. Clear? We will use a paragraph style of drafting. We will avoid bullet styles. Each point is a paragraph. Then I has mentioned that we will always start the point with an opening sentence or punchline copy pasted from the exhibit. Okay. Then all the high scorers, they give subheadings for each point. So each point should have a subheading. For example, if you're talking about low staff morale, so you can give the heading low staff morale, and then you can write in 3 lines. Okay. If you're talking about high customer complaints, you can give the subheading high customer complaints, and then you explain that point. Then you should leave 1 line between each para. 1 line between each point. And it's very simple. Just press enter button 2 times. That's it. And this one, maximum 3 to 4 lines. What should be the length of your para? Maximum 3 to 4 lines. Your point should not exceed more than 3 lines, 4 lines. Is that clear? Okay. The last thing about exam technique is bouncer question. Now, what is a bouncer question? I remember someone in the start has asked, what is a bouncer question, or how do we identify a bouncer question? Yes, Aman. Yes, Rabia. A bouncer question means that it goes over your head. You have no clue what the fuck it is. You understand? You will read the requirement and you will say, oh shit, what the hell this is? It could be either you don't understand, maybe you are not able to understand the requirement, or there is no information provided in the exhibit or the pre-scene. You understand? The bouncer question is normally, it's a question where there is no information available. From where will you draft the answer when there is no exhibit and there is no information in the pre-scene? So from where the hell will I draft my answer? Right? It will give you a panic attack. That's a bouncer question. Normally, there is at least one bouncer question. At least one. It could be more, but at least one is always there, because the examiner deliberately wants to test your stress management skills and see how you manage under certain conditions. So a bouncer question is a question where there is no information or you don't know how to answer or don't know what to do. So now, what do we do? What do we do with a bouncer question? Zaryab, it could be anything. So what do you suggest? It can be the first question, it can be in the middle, it can be in the last, it can be anywhere. What do we do with a bouncer question? The first thing is you should attempt this question in the last. The moment you identify, so it's simple rule, right? Easy questions first, difficult questions later. You know? Simple rule. We will always start with the easier questions first so that we can get some head start on the marks. And difficult questions I will later, and the most difficult bouncer I will keep it for the last. I will not attempt a bouncer question in between because it will fuck up my entire time and energy, right? So bouncer questions at the last, number one. Number two, I will not utilize the entire time in bouncer question. What do you think? I will not utilize I should not utilize the entire time in the bouncer question. For example, if it is worth 10 marks, how much time is allowed for 10 marks? 18 minutes, right? If I was smart, I will not utilize full 18 minutes for bouncer question. Why? Why should I not utilize full 18 minutes for bouncer questions? Because I really don't know what to do there. I am just wasting my time. So I will just utilize 10 minutes, 12 minutes just to write some stupid stuff. I don't want to leave it empty. But if I save 5 or 10 minutes from there, I can add more points in the easier questions. Do you understand? Do you understand? Or let me repeat. So I will never utilize the full 18 minutes in a bouncer question. I will just utilize 50-60% of the time. Let's say 10 minutes just to fill up some space. And the remaining 8 minutes, I will go back to the easier questions and try to add more points so that I can cover up from there. Now, all this requires smartness and cunningness. If you go with a student mindset, you will be screwed. You will panic. You will go into anxiety attack. But if you go in the exam hall with a CFO mindset that, no, I will do it, I'm the CFO, then you will be able to apply these things. You see? You understand? You have to be, a good CFO is always smart, street smart, and cunning. He knows where to spend time and he knows where not to spend time. So please, your mindset and all these techniques, they matter a lot. All right. Any questions? So we did a very important section right now, which is exam techniques, right? Most important. The first technique is time management. We are very clear that in the first 15 minutes, we will do our planning and linking with the exhibits, familiarizing ourselves with the tasks, deciding which one is easier question, which one is difficult. And for drafting, we will use 1.8 minutes per total marks. And as soon as the drafting time is up, we will leave that question incomplete and move to the next question. For linking of exhibit, it's very simple. We will always start with a punchline from the exhibit, and from the pre-scene, I will always try to, use refer to goals or any financial statistics as much as possible. From a number of points, it's very simple. Total marks divide by 2. And if it's a tabular question, then total marks divide by 4. Format of your answer is very straightforward. Each paragraph style of drafting. Each paragraph should not be more than 3-4 lines. We always start with a punchline, one line between each para. And then the bouncer question, I will do it in the last. I will try not to utilize the full time, and I will save some time here and go back to the easier questions to add 1 or 2 extra points. Yes, Sandesh, normally yes. All right, guys, let's take a 10-minute break. Okay. After 10-minute break, I have some high scorers from March attempt, and I want to listen to them, what they did, why or how they scored so high. So we'll try to learn from their experience. These are your fellow students, right? So it's better if we listen to them of what they did and how they scored high. But before that, let's take a 10-minute break. After that, we will talk to a couple of them. And then I will move towards global prize winners, what they did, right? So very important segment coming up after the break. It is 9 p.m. UAE time, 10 minutes break, okay? I will see you 10 past 9. All right? Thanks. All right, Tammy, Anish, and Amur. Are you guys there? If there, please let me allow you to um, uh, can you please put on your video cam if possible and unmute yourself? Hi, Amur, I can see you.
Hello, Hassan. How are you?
Hi, I am good, thanks. Anish, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Very good,
Am I
Anish.
audible?
And just wait,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for Tammy. Tammy, are you there? I think we can start with you guys, and in the meantime, Tammy can join, right? All right. So, viewers, in the March 2024 attempt, there were 5 students who scored really good marks. All of them got 79. The one is Tammy from UK, then Kamran from Azerbaijan, and then Anish from India, and then Trilochana from Sri Lanka, and Amur from Oman. So I was able to get hold of Tammy, Anish, and Amur. Tammy is joining probably in a couple of minutes. So let's start with Anish and Amur. So guys, thank you so much for joining in, and big congratulations for scoring absolutely fabulous marks. So Anish, can you let us know what your study plan was in the last 4 weeks?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. Thank you for inviting me over the call. And my plan for the last couple of weeks were mostly to focus on the practical side. I focused more on practice. I attempted a lot of mocks, and I gave the mocks, gave the mocks you suggested. And I did get in touch with the top 25 topics by like time to time. And every day after the videos, after the lectures, when we used to get some notes, I used to go through them the same day. That was it. That was the plan.
So you practiced a lot, like mental practice, or you were practicing on the CBE platform?
No, sir. Only practicing on the CBE platform. Every question I attempted, I practiced on the CBE platform.
Oh, okay, good. So during the last 3 weeks, you were focusing more on drafting and practice and
Yes, sir.
just revising the important topics. So less time on theoretical revision and more time on
Practical
past
side. Yes.
papers. Right, right. All right, Amur, unmute.
So I'd say I'd had a similar approach to Anish. So, but I would review the grand revision summary like once a day. Just quickly go through it, 10 minutes, because those are the topics that you're most probably going to be tested on. So I made sure to focus on
Right.
that. And yeah, practical practice is very important as well, like making sure your drafting technique and your structures are all in place and testing yourself under time condition.
Right. So in the last 3 weeks, your study plan was revising the important topics and then practicing.
Yeah, but more emphasis on practice, definitely.
Understood. Understood. Tammy, are you there? If you are, can you put on your video cam and unmute?
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Hi, Tammy. Good to see you.
Hi, good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So, Tammy, we were discussing in the last 3 weeks before the exam, what was your study plan like?
It was more of a practicing questions as well. And also like um studying the 25 or summarized topic. That was like my
Okay.
go-to. It was also helpful and also like practicing questions.
So, Tammy, how much time you used to give to SBL in the last 3 weeks on an average?
Um, Actually, for me, I would say like in the last 1 month, it was um almost like my weekends, like Saturday and Sunday, I definitely do not joke with it. Maybe like I do like 10 hours each day. And then during the week, I do like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes. Yeah.
Very good. So Tammy used to give 10 hours over the weekend and during weekdays, 2 or 3 hours. Anish, what
Yes, yes.
about you? How much time you used to give
Yes, sir. Around 4 5 hours, 3 to 5 hours a day. As I was a full-time student
on
back
a
then.
daily basis?
Yeah.
And Amur,
Since I work full time, maybe during weekdays, an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, and weekends I try to push myself a bit.
excellent. All right. So now my next question is during that exam, 3 hours and 15 minutes, what actually you think you did due to which you got so high marks? Tammy.
I think like what I did was to focus more on the questions that I knew that they were exhibits that had the information, and then because I think there was like two questions that it was like bunker question, there was no exhibit on it, so I left down those two for like last, and then I focused on the ones with the exhibit, and those were the ones I gave all my best, answered it to my satisfaction before now moving to the bunker questions.
Right. So you focused more on the easier questions which
Yeah.
had direct exhibits and
Correct.
those two bounce questions in your view, you focused less on them and more on the ones which were more linked with exhibits.
Yes, yes, correct.
All right. Anish, what did you do in your opinion in those 3 hours, 15 minutes, which got you 79?
Yeah, sir. Sure, sir. As Temi said, I did, you know, appeared for the question first who had specific exhibits. Not just I have to, bounce a question I attempted for the last. I tried my best to attempt bounce a question to the last, as those required a lot of time and extra efforts. I had to go through pre-scene again and again, like get back to it. But it was manageable. It was a lengthy exam, and I did, I guess, practice helped
Right.
me a lot.
Very similar to what Tammy did, huh?
Yes.
Amur?
I feel like drafting was very important during the exam, making sure you have the right structure, and also comes down to small details like the tone. Are you an external, are you an external individual or internal? And also down to the fact that you can't think like an accountant. You're writing reports to the board and so on. You don't want to use language that is very accountant based. Think more macro, think strategy when discussing these matters. And yeah, I feel like that made the difference. And also the
And
use of
how did
subheadings.
you subheadings? Very interesting. How did you deal with bouncer
Subheadings, yeah.
question?
I feel like I had a good understanding of the industry in the previous exam, so that helped me deal with it. So I didn't really struggle that much. And with bouncer questions, it's good to use general language, you
So
know.
what
So
was
general
the
language
industry
really
in
helps.
this exam?
I think it was football. Football.
And I know for Oman, football is a favorite game, right?
Yeah,
Good for
yeah, it's
you.
pretty popular here.
All right, Amur, tell me, were you able to complete the paper?
Yeah, I was able to complete it within time, and I had like 10 minutes left. So I just went through making sure that grammar was right, I didn't miss any points, and so on. Just quickly skimming through it.
So how did you manage your time? Like, how did you focused very hard on time management? What was the strategy for time management?
So I took questions one by one in the order that they came in, but I made sure to quickly put in my structure and subheadings and not to dive too deep. You're only 1 point is 2 marks. You shouldn't be mentioning 2 points in one paragraph. So 3 lines, 4 lines
Nice.
max, and you're done. Move on to the next point.
Excellent, excellent. Anish, what about you were able to complete the paper?
Yes, I was, I completed the paper in the very last 5 seconds, I would say. And it was a lengthy bit, but, practice really helped. And I would say my strategy was, just pick up a line from the exhibit and write your thoughts about it. Don't just struggle too much on it. You just, as Amul said, like focus on the macros
And
and focus
how
on
many
more
lines
general.
per point? How many lines per point?
I would say 3 to 4 line a paragraph. I would say after giving a subheading, I would take a line from the exhibit and give
Yeah.
1 to 2 line explanation for the same.
All right. So you picked one line from the exhibit and then just added one or two lines from your own elaborating on it.
Yes, sir.
And this is what Amur did. He said he did not went into a lot of details because one mark point is only 2 marks. So he just touched upon the basics only. What about you, Tammy? Were you able to complete the paper?
Almost, except for the bouncer question, which took a little bit of time because like you had to like think about it because there was no exhibit backing it up. But I mean, I was still able to write something down, or and I mean, I was satisfied with what I wrote because it's a bouncer question after all. And also, like in terms of like answering the questions, like Abu already said, like mostly like putting just like 1 line or 2 line from the exhibit, and also like additional 1 or 2 line, your own understanding, just to back it up. Yeah.
So what I hear is that all of you, what's common is that your points were very concise. One line from the exhibit, maximum two additional lines. So 3 lines, max four for each point. That is how you were able to complete the paper on time.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Um, what about models? Tammy, did you use a lot of models or you just went with logical answers?
I don't think I even use any model at all because even though I practice a lot of models, well, when I saw the questions and the exhibit and everything, there was no model to apply to, so I just went along with the with logical answering of the questions.
Understood. Anish,
Yes, sir.
did you use models in your answer to score
No, no,
extra or more? Other students think that using models will get them excellent marks.
no, sir, not at all. So models weren't of any help in the real exam, I would say. If you are practicing on a general
Right.
basis, writing more basic and specific answers, you won't be needing any model. So yeah,
All right. Amur?
Didn't use any models. Didn't feel like the question required for any model to be used,
Right.
so didn't force it.
One last question from my side, and then maybe I'll take a couple of questions from the students. Um, I heard there was a lot of common sense questions in March, unusually more than previous questions. So, how do you manage common sense questions? What are the technique? How did you practice common sense questions? Because I'm expecting similar common sense questions in June as well. So, what are your tips and advice how to prepare for common sense questions? I will start with Amur.
So I think you should understand the pre-scene pretty well. Don't memorize it, understand it. And if you feel like you're lacking in that area, just Google, read online on the industry itself, look for an example of a company there, and just to get an idea of the industry itself. And experience helps. If you have real life experience dealing with certain matters, it helps as well. And you can also get experience through practice, mocks, and different ways like that.
So,
So that's
Amur,
how you
what do
can
you
deal with
do?
common sense.
What do
I'm
you do
a
professionally?
financial analyst at an oil and gas company.
Yeah, that is why. All right. So you are a financial analyst in an oil and gas company. So you, being financial analyst, I think you got an edge over others because the job of a financial analyst is to analyze the business and understand the big picture and how things link
Yeah,
together.
that helped for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Tammy, how did you handle the common sense questions?
I think it has to do with lots and lots of practice, including doing attempting like the mock exam, like it's very, very important. And also attempting the mock exam and also like using like in classes you tell us like use professional skepticism, like all those things, like it's really, really helpful. It helps you when attempting the questions, like professional skepticism, using of commercial acumen, all those things, like it helps you. And also like think like a CFO, like when you see the questions, like think, okay, so like basically those are the techniques that I use.
Think like a CFO, right? So what do you do, Tammy?
I'm an auditor. I work in an audit firm in London.
Okay, you work in an audit firm as an auditor.
Yes, yes.
Very nice. Anish, how did you handle common sense questions?
yes. So I would say for me, like a lot of students are also asking about the mocks. I would say the pre-mock, which ACCA gives to you after before every attempt, that gives you a gist of what's coming for the exam. And I attempted the paper twice.
Right.
First time I attempted it, I wasn't feeling very sure about my attempt. So I gave another shot at it and it went pretty well. So I would say like do prepare pre-March mock or pre-June mock, and also be known to your professional skills, like being skeptic and being very communicative, and answering general basic answers, and that will be it. And think like a CFO.
So, right. So, what do you do, Anish, these days?
So currently I'm working as an auditor. It's a CA firm in Delhi, India. So I'm handling the
Okay,
US audit branch at it. So
Right. So, all right. So, what I feel is there are a lot of common things between all the three of you. And that is why all of you scored 79 perhaps. And how important is your English drafting skills, Anish?
No, so I don't think that matters. Like ACCA have also said it in their official website that if you are able to speak normal basic English, you can, attempt and pass. It's not like you have to be very fluent at it or, draft well written answers or, you have to write reports. You just have to answer what examiner wants and, that's what scores.
So, as I used to say in my class, keep it simple, keep it basics only. So, if your English is just basic and you're able to explain your point in simple language, that's what you did?
Yes, sir. So making it easier for the examiner to, score your paper, to mark your paper, that will help.
Right. All right, thanks. Tammy, did you struggle with English drafting or it's your first language?
No, English is not my first language. I mean, I just like basic understanding of English, like, or sometimes when you're even trying to like brush and type, like some of the words you like misspell it, but just keep it like simple. You don't have to like overcomplicate your answers or like writing like maybe 8 to 10 lines in order to prove a point. Like you don't need all of that. Just keep it simple, 3 lines or 4 lines max, and then move to the next one. Yeah.
And Amur, what about you? Did you struggle with English drafting?
Not really. I think it helped me typing quick, but this can also be done with practice. You practice, you understand what the question asks you, 3, 4 lines, and that's it. You set your structure before you answer, and yeah, that's it. No need to overcomplicate it.
Right. Do you guys do any mocks other than the extra mocks other than the one done in the live classes?
So I
Ani?
didn't do anything extra. I just did whatever was given to me by VIFHE, and I attempted all
Okay.
the mocks that were given to me. So yeah.
And Tammy, did you do extra mocks or you just did 3 mocks which we did in the class?
Yes, I did the 3 mocks that we did in the class, and also like the previous questions that we've solved, and also a week to the exam, I took annual leave. So some questions that I know that I was really struggling with, I solved it like 2 to 3 times, like even 4 times, because like sometimes you feel like you understand it, but you try to solve it again, you're missing some point
Wow.
or the other. So yeah, so every question that we attempted in the class, like within the 1 week leave that I had, I solved everything at least twice, some 3 times.
Very interesting point. Tammy is saying that she has actually done each question at least 2 times and some of them at least 3 times during the last 1 week before the exam. So, Tammy, do you think questions are repeated or topics are repeated? And if you know the previous, if you have done it in your previous paper, would you be able to relate it much faster and better?
Yeah, absolutely. Like once you're able to like your knowledge from like solving a particular question is transferable. When you see the questions, even if you've not like it's something that you can easily tell and quickly answer. So from practice, when you practice, the more you practice, the more you're able to like easily answer, and then it gets easier for you.
All right, great. Amur, what about you? Did you do extra mocks on your own?
I didn't do extra mocks, but I made sure to redo the mocks that you did with us in class. Do
Or
it on
you
my own.
redo it? You
I
did
redid
it
it
two
by
times?
myself. Yeah, so by myself, I made sure to do it as well. Because in class,
Oh,
you
okay.
might find it easy or everything makes sense with someone guiding you, but it's important to be able to do it alone as well.
All right, I'm just going through some comments on the chat. So somebody is asking, did you do the revision kit or the study hub or the book? Amur,
No, everything I did came from the course itself and grand revision
no
summary.
book, no revision kit, no study hub.
Nothing.
Tammy?
No, it was just the 25 summarized topic your textbook. Yeah, that was basically what I used.
No book, no revision kit, no
No,
study hub materials.
no.
Anish?
No, sir, not at all. So I just, brushed up on top 25 topics on 1 to 2 days at least. And also I did the notes you were giving, on a daily basis after the class, after the lectures. I did give them 1 or 2 touches. Yeah.
Excellent, guys. This is an amazing story all of you have. And I really thank all of you for taking out your time and sharing your experience. There is around 260 students listening to you right now, and many more will watch the video later on. So thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate that you were not obligated to join. You have passed, you have qualified maybe, but still, you have a good heart. So thank you for taking out the time. And once again, big congrats to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
All right.
You,
Thank
you
you.
guys can feel free to sign off now.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, bye. All right, guys. So did you notice that um most of them had so many stuff in common? And what were the common things? So from just a second, guys, let me So from a preparation point of view, all of them said that they focused more on practice, especially in the last 3 weeks. Practice, practice, practice. From a knowledge point of view, they just used my top 25 topics, and then they used to practice at least 2 hours a day and 10 hours over the weekend. From an exam point of view, what I gather is that all of them gave short, relevant answers. They started with those questions which had direct exhibits. They did the bouncer in the end. They focused on the tone, the format, the professionalism, and they kept their answer simple. So right now, at this stage in which you guys are, you should not waste your time on any book. You should not waste your time on any kit. You should not waste your time on any study hub or any extra material. You must remain focused. You should just do the top 25 important topics, which I have a video and a handout. And 80% of your time you should be practicing, right? So was that helpful, guys? Did you understand what they were saying? And I hope that you guys have picked up some points from these guys, which you can focus on from now. You still have 4 weeks, right? So I'm glad that these guys were around. Someone was asking, is EPSM important? No, please forget about EPSM, the ethics module. Don't worry about it. Do it after the SBL exams. All right, Zara, I will do all these things in the live class. You don't do anything, okay? These guys they did not do anything on their own. They practiced afterwards. So first we will do in the live class and then you practice. All right, the last segment for tonight is that message from global prize winners. So these guys whom we spoke right now, they were not global prize winners. They were just a few of my top students from March. But in March 2023 and in June 2023 and December 2023, three of my not regular students, but indirect students, they were global prize winners. All of them scored 92 marks. And I had interviewed them in the previous webinar, and the recording is also available. And these are the tips. What I've done is I have summarized the important things which I have picked up from these global winners. So we'll just quickly go through it so that you don't miss it. So during the last 4 weeks, focus on revising important topics only and not the entire syllabus. Give at least 4 hours each day. Focus 20% on theory and 80% on practice. Do 8 to 10 case studies, including 5 mocks. Don't read examiner's answer. It's for educational purpose only, not practical under exam. Never use book or kit. This is not me who's saying this. This is coming from these people, right? And the live interview is also there. I will share the link. And during the exam, attempt easy questions first. Rigorous focus on time management. Leave question and move to the next question if the allowed time is up. Try to think of a real life example. Use information from the scenario to start your point. Maximum 3-4 sentences. Give short subheadings. No or very less use of models. Technical knowledge is not important. Application of knowledge should be the main focus. Use professional language and think like a CFO. All of them said think like a CFO. It helps them handle common sense questions, right? So if you want, the interview with the global prize winners, it's there on the YouTube. It's like 30-40 minutes. All right, guys. So the last thing for tonight is, what do I suggest for you guys? So those of you who are already enrolled with me, then it's okay. But those of you who have not yet enrolled and thinking of self-study, I will share the study plan tomorrow. But for now, I hope that you realize the importance of practice and mocks. It's not about theory, it's about practice. So as being self-study students, you might tend to focus more on theory and learning stuff, and you might give less time on practice. But in reality, it has to be the other way around. So my revision batch is starting from 7th of May. It will all be live classes so that we can interact, we can do role play, we can discuss. We will do 4 to 5 case studies, full drafting, and on top of that, we will do 3 mock exams. So total 7 to 8 case studies plus 1 mock script will be marked, and all classes will be recorded. Plus, it also includes pre-scene discussion and a grand revision, right? So I strongly suggest, based on my experience, I'm not being biased or I'm not being commercial here. It is my sincere thing that, especially for self-study students, you must join the practice classes. The investment is $105 and PKR this. So, the pre-scene, if you just join the pre-scene, it's $40. But if you do $105, pre-scene is also included, plus a lot of 8 to 9 case studies drafting is included. So if you need more details, that's the WhatsApp number. All right. This is the timetable of the revision classes. Very extensive. So the format is classes will be held in evening time so that all working students can also participate. Classes will be recorded for later viewing. So, the format is 2 days class and then 1 day gap. And then again 2 day classes, 1 day gap. That's the theme. And the timing is 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. UAE time, which will be 7 p.m. Pakistan time and 7:30 p.m. India time. So that's the schedule of the revision classes. Here is the pre-scene classes, and then an extra class on risks and financial management. And then in the last, grand revision on 1st of June. Right? I will share this timetable after the class. So please, guys, if it is possible for you, please invest in this because the SBL fees is actually double than the price of this, right? All right, so now I'm opening the floor for questions. So I will take some questions now. Fatima, yes. Saad, I will discuss this strategy tomorrow. Okay. So my paid students, you don't have to do more. Okay. All my paid students, you don't have to do any extra questions or do more outside the classes. Paid students, I will take care of. I know how to take it step by step. All right. So you, my paid students should not do any questions on their own at this stage. No, do not do extra questions. Just attend the class and follow instructions. That's it. Yes, Jessic, I was. Jatin, yes, please. I will discuss this tomorrow in more detail. All right, but let me answer you. So Jatin is asking, I am just starting now. SBL is my first attempt. I'm starting now. Can I be able to join revision classes? Absolutely, yes. 80% is practice, 20% is theory. So those of you who are starting now, have not yet enrolled, you can go through my top 25 video. It's a 6-hour video. And after that, you can directly join these classes. All right. Which technical articles to be covered? I will cover all the relevant technical articles in tomorrow's webinar. So just be a little patient. Even for resit, guys, I would suggest that you join the practice classes because it will be more structured. You will be forced to practice, right? Samra, I already replied, no extra thing required. Just stick to the study plan I will share in the classes. Mohammad Ruman, if you're a paid student, then I will guide you. If you're a self-study student, then I have my suggested drafted answers on Google Drive. All right, guys. So let's sign off today. I hope you found this session helpful today. The important thing was professional skills, formats, and exam techniques. Okay. Tomorrow, we will talk about technical articles. We will draft. We will do some drafting so that you understand. Right. So, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. And if I have not answered your question, maybe you can ask tomorrow or you can WhatsApp me. You have my number. I'll just show you my number here. If you want to enroll in the revision batch, then this is the number for inquiries and admissions. If you want to ask me something directly, you can WhatsApp me on my number. All right. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining. I will see you guys same time tomorrow, that is 7 p.m. UAE time, and cover the rest of the webinar. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Till then, take care and good night.